Hello, hockey fans. Austin here with the day after discussion of the Oilers' 4-2 loss to the New York Islanders. Last night, the Oilers' lackluster effort against the Rangers from 2 nights ago continued to rear its ugly head against the Islanders. It was a continuation of sloppy play, undisciplined play, and the team, they did not deserve to win, and on the scoreboard, they lost that one. While they were able to steal one against the Rangers, if you keep playing with fire, you're going to get burned, and teams are going to expose you, and they are going to beat you the way the Islanders beat the Oilers last night. Now, I don't think the Oilers were as bad as they were against the Rangers. They had some good looks, but there was a few things that happened during the game that had me just very irritated by the end of it. The way certain players were being utilized, the way certain players were playing. Evan Bouchard, really tough game for him. Maybe one of the worst games he's ever played in an Oiler uniform. And how does the coaching staff, reward other players when Bouchard is playing poorly? Well, they don't reward other players with ice time. Evan Bouchard led all defensemen in time on ice last night for some strange reason. That's a game where, even though Evan Bouchard is an established veteran, the amount of mistakes that he was making, it's not like there was 1 or 2 mistakes in the third period where you're like, okay, he already played most of the game, so you just keep him rolling. No, he made about 3 horrible mistakes in the first period. He made about 3 or 4 horrible mistakes in the second period, and then he was still getting the most ice time in the third period among all defensemen. It made absolutely no sense. So in today's day after discussion, we are going to talk about Kris Knoblauch's player utilization. There's a few players that I do want to look at. We're going to take a look at his utilization of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl so far this season and why I think it is a completely unsustainable way to roll your lines. Kris Knoblauch, he claims that if he plays McDavid and Draisaitl together, it gives other lines more ice time and more opportunity to do something and get regular shifts. Well, that is a complete lie from Kris Knoblauch because based on the information that we have with the time on ice allocation, he is not giving any of the other players a lot of ice time. In fact, I would argue he's severely limited a lot of the ice time for many players, especially players that I thought were playing good. Sorry, my voice sometimes just... Let's take a look at some of the stuff from last night and today's day after. I'm also going to quickly do like a brief preview of the New Jersey Devils game tomorrow, but this is not going to be a full preview. Look for a full preview for that. It'll be up early tomorrow morning because the Oilers play tomorrow afternoon. Pre-game report will be up tomorrow morning, probably 7 or 8 a.m., so keep an eye out for that. We'll stick to the day after discussion today. Now, when we take a look at the stats and the standouts, not so standouts as per usual, last night, the Oilers lost 4-2 to the Islanders. Their expected goals for percentage was 50.70%, which is okay. Pretty much down the middle, right in the middle there. High danger chances in all situations. The Oilers led 17-10, and power plays, they went 1 for 5 with a shorthanded goal against. So special teams absolutely killed them. They had a power play goal, but then the shorthanded goal, that nullifies that. And then the Islanders also scored a late power play goal, the eventual game winner. Bo Horvat ended up with a hat trick last night. The Oilers' power play looked lethargic. They weren't able to get set up at all. And some of it, I think, has to do with a little bit of fatigue to the big guns. Some of it has to do with just not bearing down on opportunities. I know David Tomaszek has had a couple looks. He had an assist last night. That was really good to see. Now, my standouts for the Oilers last night, and I'm going to talk about why I'm frustrated that these were the standouts. So, Vasily Podkolzin, he does not get on the score sheet, but I thought he had a very effective game at keeping pucks alive, being a menace in the neutral zone, and helping the Oilers establish a forecheck. He only played 10 minutes and 9 seconds of ice time, but he led all forwards on Edmonton in expected goals for percentage, 80.32%. Next player I want to talk about is David Tomaszek. He had 0 goals, 1 assist. It was a power play assist on Leon Draisaitl's power play goal. He played 12:57 of time on ice. He had a 79.61 expected goals for percentage. Again, another great game from David Tomaszek, who supposedly started on the top line with McDavid, and as the game went on, they took him off that top line to play and kind of just put wherever. He was on the 4th line at some points. He had a couple shifts on the 2nd line, but he was basically relegated to bottom 6 shift time mostly after the first period, actually. It was not, again, this is where we're going to talk about Kris Knoblauch and my frustration with him. Ty Emberson, who I thought had a great game for Edmonton last night defensively. He had 1 assist, 14:08 time on ice, and a 63.79 expected goals for percentage. Maybe instead of playing Evan Bouchard for 25 or 26 minutes last night, and Ty Emberson for only 14 minutes, you could have taken about 4 minutes away from Bouch, given about 3 minutes more to Ty Emberson, because Ty Emberson, in my opinion, was playing much, much better. I thought Bouchard was one of the worst players on the ice for either team last night. The not-so-standouts, Evan Bouchard, no goals, no assists. He was a -3. He had 24:19 time on ice and a 43.71 expected goals for percentage. That is no bueno. That is not a good night for Evan Bouchard by any stretch. In fact, that's one of the worst nights we've all seen him play in an Oiler uniform. Now, I mentioned in my post-game fan reaction last night that it is okay to be hard on Bouchard for this one game. Yes, there are many games where he has that 1 or 2 mental lapses. Last night, there was about 8 or 9 mental lapses where it's just like, okay, he's just not ready. He just wasn't ready to play hockey last night. Whatever the case is, sometimes players are just not ready. Every single player in the NHL has those nights where they just don't have it. Last night, Bouchard did not have it. It was an awful game to watch. As a fan, it was an incredibly frustrating game to watch because if Bouchard is not playing well, it makes it really difficult to get the puck up the ice to good players and then establishing forecheck, getting shots on net. Because Bouchard was basically being hemmed in every single shift, not making good decisions with the puck, that prevents the Oilers from actually being able to do anything. It also shows, too, how effective Bouchard is when he plays well because of how often the Oilers are in the offensive zone and generating chances when he's on the ice. Last night, in my opinion, was an outlier. Let's hope that this does not spiral into anything else, though. We need Bouchard to be at the top of his game. Otherwise, the team is not going to have very much success moving forward. My other not-so-standout is Adam Henrique. He had 0 goals, 0 assists. He was a -1 on the night. He played 11:24 of time on ice, and he had a 17.56 expected goals for percentage. Adam Henrique, of course, gets penalty kill time, which means he's not playing much at 5-on-5. Like, at all. They are not utilizing him. They're not utilizing Howard or Savoy. That entire bottom 6 is not being utilized at all. Kris Knoblauch was my third not-so-standout last night. He had the line blender going basically in the first period, right? You've already changed all your lines after that win against Vancouver, which, by the way, that win against Vancouver was one of the best games I've seen the team play overall in a very long time, probably since the playoffs, either against Vegas or Dallas. That was the best overall team effort. And then Kris Knoblauch, after that amazing team effort against Vancouver, pulls Noah Philp out of the lineup before the Rangers game. First goal of Noah Philp's career. Noah Philp, you don't get to play anymore. We're going to also put everyone in a line blender. We're going to switch all the lines up now. That great effort against Vancouver, let's not try and build on that, right? Let's try and experiment with all these different line combinations. And now everyone's all out of sorts. We saw it against the Rangers, and we saw it against the Islanders last night. I'm not a head coach, and I've said this numerous times about Kris Knoblauch. There's a reason why he is behind the Oilers bench, and I am behind a camera talking to a bunch of people on YouTube. But at the same time, I have been around hockey and watched enough hockey to know that what Kris Knoblauch tends to do sometimes, yes, for the most part, he's a great coach. Tactically, he's great. We know that. You don't accidentally get to 2 Stanley Cup finals in a row if you're not a good coach. This is just, players are bought in, right? But there are times where the way he manages his lineup, we all see it. We all feel it. It is frustrating. Last night was frustrating. There was no reason to do what he was doing. He's been running Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl into the ground. He's not trusting his young players right now. And the veterans, goalie pulled, trying to tie the game late. Oh, they're gassed. Nobody on the ice for Edmonton had any gas left in their tank. Draisaitl, McDavid, Nugent-Hopkins, they all looked very, very slow. They couldn't keep up with pucks. They were bobbling passes. Connor McDavid had a look all by himself in the slot area. Perfect opportunity, basically a breakaway. And then he tried to pass it over to Troy Stecher for some reason. It doesn't make sense. Can I blame Knoblauch for that? No. Can I blame Knoblauch for playing these guys so much that when you're tired, you're not always able to think straight and make the right decision with the puck? Connor McDavid made a couple decisions where we're scratching our heads. Before the season, McDavid's like, I want to shoot more. Well, then do it. I think he has 15 shots on goal this season, which is awesome. And yes, he is due to score. Like, he's not going to go all season shooting 0%. That's just not going to happen. But it was moments like that against the Islanders where I was just incredibly confused. Why are you even trying to defer to Troy Stecher? No offense to Troy Stecher. But if you're going to defer to someone, at least defer to someone who can put a puck in the net. Troy Stetcher being at the back door for some reason, that's awesome. Maybe he can get a rebound if you get the initial shot off. I don't know. Kris Knoblauch, though, we're going to take a look at the time on ice for forwards across the entire league. This is across the entire league this season. Time on ice per game among forwards. Connor McDavid is first, 24-11 per game. Leon Draisaitl second, 23-37 per game. They are playing a lot of hockey, and it is early in the season, but this, to me, is unsustainable. You cannot play these guys 23 or 24 minutes a night for an entire regular season. They are going to be absolutely gassed before the playoffs. And assuming they even make it, right? Talking about playoffs, I just want to win a game. Practice. Playoffs, I just want to win a game. This is unsustainable. Chris, and fans, they've let me know too, right? That, McDavid and Draisaitl, they kill penalties now, so that's going to increase their ice time. That's awesome. Give other players more ice time at 5-on-5 then. And Kris Knoblauch is also not doing that at 5-on-5. If we take a look at the ice time from last night, Draisaitl 25-22, McDavid 25-20, Nugent-Hopkins 20-46, and then Mangiapane 17-13. So your top four forwards, and then it drops off hard. Roslovic played 4.5 minutes less than Mangiapane. That's the next drop off. And then at the very bottom, Ike Howard, 8:19 time on ice. Podkolzin, Frederic, and Kapanen, which I thought was one of Edmonton's, if not Edmonton's best line of the night. Only playing 10 minutes a night makes no sense. If we take a look at what their line looked like at 5-on-5, the Kapanen, Frederic, Podkolzin line, their Corsi percentage, they outchanced 7-3. So their shooting chances, shot attempts were 7-3 in favor of Edmonton at 5-on-5 with these three on the ice. And the expected goals for percentage was 80.53% with these three on the ice. And you know what their reward is? Do you know what their reward is? Their reward is playing 10:09 for Podkolzin, 10:36 for Frederic, and 11:17 for Kapanen. The one line that was actually going for Edmonton. Now, if we take a look at the other forward lines, Mangiapane, McDavid, and Tomaszek, they played 44% expected goals for percentage. They were breaking even. The Draisaitl line was breaking even. If you have a line that is clearly being effective, I don't understand why you don't play them more, right? You talk about, players have to earn their ice time. They have to earn it. Look at Tomaszek. He had an assist last night. 12:57 time on ice. That's how he gets rewarded for his contribution on the power play. That's how Tomaszek gets rewarded for his contribution. It makes no sense. And then if we take a look at the defense, I forgot to even show the defense time on ice. Evan Bouchard, -3. Horrific amount of giveaways. Breakaways every time he's on the ice for the opponent. 24-19 time on ice. He gets to play more than anyone when it comes to the defense. More than Echo, more than Nurse, more than Kulak, more than Stetcher. And poor Ty Emberson, who I thought had a good game. He had an assist. He was a +1. I thought Ty Emberson had a good game. That Ty Emberson, you get to play the least amount of everyone because we got to give Bouchard all the time on ice, right? And some people will argue, okay, well, McDavid and Draisaitl, they get put together to try and, get a goal late. They try and tie the game late. That's kind of their job. While that doesn't explain every game leading into this one, why McDavid and Draisaitl are leading time on ice for forwards. Because until the Oilers played the Islanders, they hadn't trailed once in a game this season. They haven't trailed. The New York Islanders game is the first time the Oilers have trailed at any point in a game this season. It took 4 games for them to actually trail. And in the first period, they only trailed for a couple minutes before they tied it right back up. If you're winning or at minimum tied, shouldn't that mean you're rolling all 4 lines? This is where I'm confused. Everything I know about hockey is being it's confusing me with the way Kris Knoblauch is coaching, right? Especially with what he says to the media, what it says he wants to approach. Hey, if you perform, you get to play. Noah Philp performed, he's out of the lineup. Last season, Jeff Skinner, he finally gets to play after being healthy scratch for 10 games in a row. He had a goal and an assist. Yeah, you're out of the lineup for another 10 games. Sorry, Jeff. We got to get Janmark in there. We got to make sure Janmark and Henrique are in there. Those are the guys that we want to play. And I know, now listen, we can talk about Ike Howard maybe deserving the least amount of ice time. Howard, he doesn't look like he's comfortable, and that's fine. I don't think Ike Howard has really done anything to show that he deserves any room in the top 6. I don't think that's the case. Matt Savoy, I think if Savoy's just put in a better position to succeed, we'd see more from him. But again, it's tough when you're a younger player and you go out there, maybe you have a good shift. Then the big guns go out there, have a horrible shift, get scored against, and then the coaching staff looks at the young kids and goes, no, we're going to put, hey, vets, Bouchard, get back out there. Leon, Connor, get back. We got to get that goal back. We're not going to rely on the kids here. They can just sit at the end of the bench. For Kris Knoblauch, he mentioned that he wanted to play McDavid and Draisaitl together because it gives other players more opportunity. It allows the rest of the lineup to roll, allows the other 3 lines to roll, get consistent ice time, get chances to do something. That's just not true because he's not playing anyone nearly enough to be able to roll the other lines. And when he does start rolling lines, he's usually putting McDavid or Draisaitl on one of the lines that he's rolling just to try and get something from one of the big dogs. He's not putting faith in anyone else. The Oilers are struggling to score goals right now. This is a big problem. This is not just an Islanders game problem. The Oilers are struggling to produce. If we look at the goals per game among teams in the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers rank 28th in goals per game. They score 2.5 goals per game. We'll quickly take a look at this chart. Edmonton Oilers, goals per game, 2.5. That ranks 28th. Their goaltending is literally the reason why they are even in games right now. The offense is anemic. And with an anemic offense, it makes sense that the coaching staff would look at Leon and Connor and be like, all right, well, they got to get going. But the system and the style that the team plays does not make for good offensive production unless it's Connor and Leon producing. Kris Knoblauch's entire system and style is to bore the opponent to death to keep games low scoring. Last night when the Oilers needed some pressure, they needed some goals, the way the Oilers play does not really create that. It's not creating chances off the rush. You're not really creating anything off the cycle because there's no net front presence. And obviously I'm kind of rambling right now, right? And I probably sound frustrated. I'm truly not even that mad. This is how I get when I get passionate about a certain topic. And I hope you all understand why I'm talking like this right now about the game last night. The Oilers' offense is boring to watch. It's always been boring to watch under Kris Knoblauch, but because the team, for the most part, plays so good defensively and their high-end stars do eventually get that puck in the net, the team wins. And sometimes the depth shows up too, but right now, early this season, we're not seeing the trust to the depth, and the high-end offense hasn't been there. The Oilers are going to need to do so much more to start generating offense. They need players that will drive the blue paint. Tomaszek is one of those guys that does that, by the way. He's one of the only ones on the entire team right now that is doing that. Whenever Janmark is ready to go, we know a Coward is probably going to be the one taken out of the lineup. Will Noah Philp get back in? Who knows? Noah Philp does everything right, and he's not playing right now. I don't understand. Jake Wallman's going to be back soon, probably this weekend. Who do you take out from the defense group? Probably Stetcher, I would imagine. Alec Regula. Who do you take out when Regula's ready to go? Because Regula probably comes back this weekend too. They have lots of decisions to make with this roster, and I have a feeling that Kris Knoblauch, I could be wrong here. This is me just speculating, and I don't like to do that very often. I don't like to just assume what a coach or a player is thinking, but I do think Kris Knoblauch has purposely rolled lines a certain way so that he can make the excuse of, did not perform? I get my boy Janmark back in. I get to play Janmark now instead of Ike Howard or instead of Matthew Savoy or whoever. We know what we get with Janmark. We get a player that can't shoot a puck past a goaltender all season long. He scored 2 goals last year. None of those were actual shots on net. One of them hit him. Actually, I think both goals ended up hitting him. I think both goals just ended up hitting Janmark. I don't think he actually shot a puck past a goalie until the playoffs. That's just how I see it. There's a lot of decisions. There's a lot of discourse after the game last night. Obviously, the play of Evan Bouchard has to be better. Connor McDavid needs to shoot the puck more. Leon Draisaitl has goals, but they're on the power play. We need some 5-on-5 production. 5-on-5 production it's just awful right now. The 5-on-5 play, not good. It's not good. A lot of work to do. There's a lot of work to do, Oil Country. I know I said I'd kind of preview the Devils game, but that will be a separate video. That may be up late tonight or very early in the morning. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you have the bell turned on so that you're notified of any uploads so you don't miss the pregame report for the Oilers and Devils. It is a matinee game tomorrow. I look forward to watching it with all of you. I appreciate all of your support. It means the absolute world. This was more of a rant video than a proper, like, just chill discussion. But I had a lot on my mind that I needed to get off. I think Kris Knoblauch also needs to get off of his ass and start coaching and allowing his players to do something. I think the leash is very tight on a lot of players, and I think it's unfair that other players are given such a long leash or no leash at all. It's like some players just don't have a leash. They're just, run free, do whatever you want. But this, you are you under 26 and you made one mistake? You don't get to play anymore. You can just sit right over there. In any case, I hope the Blue Jays beat the Mariners for a third straight time. I hope it's a great game. For Blue Jays fans out there, good luck, have fun. Tell someone that you love them, folks. And as always, fight like a kid. Let's try that again. As always, folks, tell someone that you love them. And as always, fight like a kid, fight like Ben. Let's go Oilers. A lot of work to do against the Devils tomorrow. Let's see if they can figure it out. Let's go Oilers.